There's a reason the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. Because destiny was never supposed to feel comfortable. It was never meant to be handed to you, wrapped in gold, delivered in affirmation. Destiny is forged in fire. It's shaped by pain. It hides behind every door you refuse to open, every truth you refuse to tell, every version of yourself you buried to make others comfortable. Discomfort is not the enemy, it is the gatekeeper. And most people never meet their future because they keep running from the very pain that was designed to evolve them. Let me say this clearly. What you call discomfort is often the birth canal of transformation. It is the sacred tension between who you were and who you are becoming. And if you do not learn to lean into it, to breathe into it, to see it not as a curse, but as a calling, you will die, with your potential still locked inside of you. Carl Jung understood this when he said, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. Because the unconscious mind, the shadow self, will not release its grip until you are willing to face it, until you are willing to descend into the underworld of your psyche and confront the very parts of you you've spent your entire life avoiding. It's not the discomfort that breaks you. It's your resistance to it. Every time you avoid the hard conversation, you trade long-term freedom for short-term relief. Every time you delay your dream to please others, you build your future on betrayal. Every time you numb your truth with comfort, you sharpen the blade that will one day sever your spirit from your purpose. You are not tired. You are misaligned. You are not stuck. You are scared. You are not broken. You are resisting the next version of yourself. Because evolution always demands a death. The death of certainty. The death of ego. The death of the illusion that growth can be painless. This is what discomfort truly is. The evidence that you are alive, that you are growing, that you are not coasting through life on autopilot, sleepwalking in the safety of the familiar. But make no mistake, not all discomfort is created equal. There is the discomfort of staying the samurotting in a job you hate, a relationship you've outgrown, a body you neglect, a soul you silence. And then there is the discomfort of becoming sweating in the gym at 5 a.m., choking on vulnerability in a real conversation, walking into a room where no one knows your name, sitting in the silence of your own mind without distraction. One discomfort will destroy you. The other will deliver you. You must choose, because your destiny isn't found in ease. It's found in the tension between who you were and who you could be. And that tension is sacred. That's what the ancient mystics knew. That discomfort was not to be avoided but initiated. The rites of passage, the vision quests, the dark nights of the soul, they were not punishments. They were invitations, catalysts, spiritual pressure cookers designed to compress the coal of your character into the diamond of your destiny. You want freedom? Then stop worshiping your feelings. Stop making decisions based on what's comfortable. Start asking, what kind of pain am I willing to endure for the life I truly want? Because freedom is not the absence of pain. It's the ability to suffer well, to choose your struggle, to extract wisdom from wounds, to alchemize agony into awareness. The modern world wants you addicted to ease. It wants you medicated, distracted, scrolling, consuming anything but feeling. But you are not here to numb. You are here to awaken. And awakening is violent. It is a shattering of illusions, the betrayal of the old self, the annihilation of the comfort zone. But on the other side, clarity, conviction, power. Not the kind that comes from controlling others, but the kind that comes from mastering yourself. That's the power of discomfort. It reveals you to you. It strips away the masks. It burns the inessential. It shows you what you're really made of. Do you have the courage to be humbled, to fail in public, to admit you were wrong, to be seen fully, seen without the filters, the facades, the social armor? That's what discomfort demands, radical honesty. And from that honesty comes alignment. And from that alignment comes destiny. Not fate, destiny. There is a difference. Fate is passive. Destiny is forged. Fate happens to you. Destiny is summoned by you. And it only answers to those willing to walk through fire. So if you feel like you're breaking right now, good. It means you're in the forge. It means life is sculpting you for something greater. Do not pray for the fire to stop. Pray for the strength to endure it. Because this moment is uncomfortable, agonizing, confusing. Moment is the threshold. It is the portal through which your future self is born. Step through it and don't look back. There is no return for those who have seen what lies on the other side of avoidance. Once you taste the purity of progress earned through pain, comfort begins to rot in your mouth. The old pleasures, the half-hearted applause, the predictable praise, the distractions you once clung to like lifeboats begin to reek of decay. You start to understand most of the world isn't afraid of discomfort. They're addicted to mediocrity. They'll tell you you've changed. They'll say you've become distant, cold, obsessive. But what they really mean is you stopped pretending. You stopped nodding to lies just to keep the peace. You stopped shrinking to fit the mold they carved from their own fear. You stopped apologizing for demanding more from life, from others, and most importantly, from yourself. And they don't know how to handle that, because every step you take toward your potential forces them to confront the distance between who they are and who they could have been. But you're not responsible for their awakening. You're responsible for your own. This is where discipline becomes your compass. Because when the storms rage, when the path is lonely, when doubt wraps around your ankles like chains, discipline is the blade that cuts you free. Discipline isn't punishment, it's devotion. It's not rigidity, it's reverence. It is the sacred ritual of choosing your destiny over your distractions, of acting not from emotion but from vision, of doing what must be done, especially when you least feel like doing it. And here's the paradox. Most people never grasp. Freedom is only found through discipline. You think skipping the gym is freedom? That's a lie. You think avoiding the hard conversation is peace? Another lie. You think numbing your feelings is protection? That's the biggest lie of all. True freedom is waking up with energy, clarity, and purpose. It's moving through life without the hangover of regret. It's looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I trust you. And that kind of freedom can only be bought through discomfort, through the 5 a.m. wake-ups, the delayed gratification, the lonely nights, the unsexy reps, the inner work, the radical responsibility. It's not glamorous, but it's sacred, and it's rare. That's why most people never find it, because they keep trying to skip the suffering, to get the crown without the cross, the wisdom without the wounds. But suffering is not the enemy. Suffering without meaning is. So give your suffering meaning. Turn it into momentum. Turn it into mastery. Turn it into a message so loud and clear that the next time life tries to break you, it hesitates, because it remembers what you did with the last stone. You turned it into a sword. This is what Nietzsche meant when he said, he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. When you have a why, a real why, not a surface level goal, but a soul level reason, discomfort becomes a path, not a prison. You begin to crave the stretch. You begin to find beauty in the pressure. You begin to feel more alive in the struggle than you ever did in the safety. Because now you know, growth isn't supposed to feel good. It's supposed to feel real. And there is nothing more real than becoming. becoming someone who doesn't flinch, becoming someone who doesn't chase, becoming someone who doesn't wait for permission, applause, or perfect timing, becoming someone who can walk into the fire, look destiny in the eye and say, I've bled for this. I've burned for this. I've earned this. That is who you are now. Not because someone told you, not because you read it in a book or saw it in a quote, but because you lived it, because you chose discomfort. And in doing so, you chose yourself. Then deeper we go, because the world doesn't need more people who chase goals. It needs people who are forged by vision. People who don't just write affirmations, they embody declarations. People who walk with such inner gravity that their presence becomes prophecy. And prophecy is not magic. It is memory remembered from the future. It is your highest self calling backward through time, asking one question: will you walk through the fire to meet me? Most won't. Most will bow to the algorithm, to distraction, to the seductive numbness of never trying too hard. Because if you never give your all, you never have to admit you fell short. But that's not you. You've seen too much now. You felt the rumble in your chest when you stand in truth. You've heard the roar of your own soul when it stops whispering and starts commanding. Because that's what happens when you make discomfort your discipline. You stop negotiating with fear. You stop asking your emotions for permission. You start moving like a force of nature, not a fragile idea. And the moment you do, you become ungovernable. Not by others, but by your own weakness. You can no longer be manipulated by shiny things, by shallow approval, by the empty calories of ego. You start to measure life by depth, not width, by presence, not performance. And suddenly, everything changes. You speak less, but when you do, people listen. You need less, but somehow have more. You slow down, but move with 10 times the power. Because your energy is no longer scattered in 100 directions trying to prove your worth. It's focused like a blade, anchored in purpose, driven by something so real, so unshakable, that you could walk through fire barefoot and never blink. This is not confidence. This is consecration. You've been sanctified by your struggle. You've turned your pain into a philosophy. And now, even your scars preach. You walk differently because you died on sand, came back wiser. And nothing in this world is more terrifying than a person who has already faced their death of ego, of illusion, of identity, and chose to rise anyway. You are not chasing success anymore. You are becoming inevitable. And that's when discomfort becomes your sanctuary. You don't resist a challenge, you invite it. You don't pray for ease, you pray for precision. You don't need motivation. You've built a momentum engine inside your bones. Because now, your entire life is a declaration. A living sermon that says, I will not bow to comfort. I will not negotiate with fear. I will not dilute my vision for people who haven't earned a front row seat in my transformation. You move like a miss in the making. And even on your worst day, when your hands shake, when your voice cracks, when your heart doubts, you do not retreat. Because you remember, your destiny is on the other side of discomfort. And you did not come this far to turn back now. You came to shatter bloodlines of silence, to break cycles that strangled your ancestors, to build a legacy so real, so rooted, so relentless that it outlives your name. So go ahead, bleed, break, weep, scream if you must, but never stop walking. Because discomfort is not the obstacle. It is the oracle. And it's been waiting your whole life to speak. Then let the fire speak through you. Because when discomfort becomes familiar, fear becomes irrelevant. You stop asking for an easier path and start sharpening your steps. You realize the fire was never your enemy. It was your forge. It didn't come to destroy you. It came to show you what parts of you were flammable. Let them burn. Let the lies burn. Let the conditioning burn. Let every false layer of you that was built to please, perform, and conform turn to ash. You were not born to fit in. You were born to erupt, and that eruption, messy, raw, uncontrollably, is holy, because only in that chaos does the true you emerge. The one who doesn't wait, the one who doesn't flinch, the one who walks into rooms and doesn't need to prove a thing because the work is written in the weight of their silence. This is where sovereignty begins. When you stop needing life to make you feel safe, and you start moving like someone who is safe, not because nothing can hurt you, but because you've made peace with pain. You've sat with it, studied it, let it teach you its language. And now it works for you. Now it sharpens your instincts. Now it polishes your patience. Now it becomes the background music to your discipline. And from that place, this grounded, gritty, God-level stillness, you become lethal. Because you don't panic. You pivot. You don't react. You respond. You don't collapse when things fall apart. You reconstruct. Discomfort trained you for this. It taught you how to breathe underwater, how to make peace with pressure, how to wear uncertainty like armor. That's the superpower. That's the edge. Not talent, not charm, not status. It's your threshold for discomfort. The longer you can sit in the tension of becoming without numbing it, rushing it, or selling out, you win. Because discomfort always offers a deal. It says, numb this now, and I'll let you feel good for a little while. But growth says, endure this now, and I'll make you unrecognizable later. And that's what's happening to you. You are becoming unrecognizable to your old self, to the people who knew you only as a watered-down version, to the environments that demanded your silence. You're not angry. You're awake. You're not better than anyone. You're done shrinking for everyone. And with that, everything begins to align. Not all at once, not in perfect order, but in rhythm with your soul. And it all started the moment you stopped seeing discomfort as punishment and started seeing it as a sacred initiation. That's the final truth. Your destiny is not on the mountaintop. It's in the mud. It's in the breaking. It's in the nights when your voice trembles and your hands bleed and your faith wavers, but you keep showing up. Because destiny doesn't belong to the gifted. It belongs to the gritty, to the ones who were willing to suffer beautifully, to endure silently, to transform privately and rise publicly with power in their step and prophecy in their bones. You are that one. You always were. Now walk, and don't you dare look back. Walk like you remember where you came from, but even more like you know where you're going, because destiny doesn't knock. It waits in silence, watching how you move when no one's watching how you carry yourself when the applause stops, watching how you talk to yourself when you fail, how you rise after you've bled, how you breathe when the air feels like knives. That's where it's decided. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. Not in the comfort of success, but in the crushing weight of becoming. You see, everyone wants to shine until they realize what light costs. It costs your illusions. It costs your distractions. It costs your attachment to the small version of you that they were comfortable with. It costs your ability to hide. And the question is, are you willing to pay? Because to get to your destiny, you will have to become someone your past doesn't recognize. You'll have to disappoint the crowd to honor your conscience. You'll have to say no to opportunities that don't align with your vision. You'll have to lose battles that don't matter to win wars that do. You'll have to become the villain in someone else's story just to remain the hero in your own. And yes, it will hurt. You will miss people who never really saw you. You will grieve the versions of you that kept the peace at the cost of your power. You will walk through seasons of silence so long you'll wonder if you were wrong to even try. But you weren't. You were being refined, tested, stretched, prepared for a throne that can't be inherited, it can only be earned. You don't find purpose. You forge it through 1,000 uncomfortable choices, through walking away when it would be easier to stay, through saying yes to things that terrify you and no to things that used to define you. That's what real growth feels like. Uncomfortable, inconvenient, undeniable. And once you've tasted that kind of power, the kind that comes from alignment, not approval, there's no going back. You stop looking for shortcuts. You stop chasing hacks. You stop asking for permission. You just become every day, every rep, every breath. You become the kind of person who doesn't need destiny handed to them because they build it. You become so focused, so locked in, so unshakably clear that life has no choice but to move out of your way. Obstacles become detours. Failures become fuel. Pain becomes poetry. You turn everything into something. And if you keep walking one step, one choice, one moment at a time, you will wake up one day in a life you can't believe you built. Not because it was easy, but because you refused to settle, because you learned to suffer well, because you made discomfort your compass and destiny your destination. And when people ask you how you did it, you won't have to explain. They'll feel it in your silence. They'll see it in your eyes. They'll know it in your presence, that you didn't just survive. You transcended. You didn't just hope. You became. So keep going, not because it's easy, but because it's true. And the truth, it was always this. Your destiny is not just on the other side of discomfort. It is born from it. Then let this be the final word, not a conclusion, but a commandment. Because you were not summoned to this life to watch others rise while you hesitate in the hallway of hesitation. You were not placed in this time, in this body, in this exact breath, to shrink beneath the weight of your own doubt. You were carved from the same eternal fire that built empires, crossed deserts, and rewrote the destiny of bloodlines. But fire, by its nature, is not still. It does not beg. It does not wait. It burns, and so must you. Burn through the fog of your former self. Burn through the echo chamber of doubt that has kept your greatness on mute. Burn through the illusion that something softer, easier, quieter will ever satisfy the ache in your soul. You are here now to do something that terrifies the world and honors the God in you. You are here to take everything they said was too much, too risky, too unrealistic, and make it non-negotiable. You are here to be hated if it means being whole, to be misunderstood if it means being real, to be alone if it means being aligned. And yes, it will cost you. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you community for a time. It will cost you the cheap piece of pretending to be less. But what you gain will silence every voice that ever told you to settle. Because one day when the smoke clears and your name is whispered not for who you followed but for what you became, they will look at you not as someone who had luck or privilege or timing, but as someone who walked straight into the fire and came out with a crown. And they will ask you how you did it. And you will say, without flinching, I learned to stop fearing discomfort. I made it my sanctuary. I made it my scripture. I made it my sword. And in doing so, I became untouchable. This is not poetry. This is prophecy. This is not a mantra. This is a new law of self. A law that says you will never again abandon your highest self just to maintain someone else's comfort. That you will never again ask for permission to become someone they were too afraid to be. That you will never again bow to a past version of yourself, just because that version was more palatable to the masses. You are not them. You were never meant to be. You are not soft. You are sacred. You are not loud. You are legendary. You are not waiting. You are walking through fire with a destiny in your mouth and a storm in your chest. And when it gets hard as it will, you will not collapse. You will not retreat. You will remember this truth, that everything you are becoming lives just beyond the edge of your comfort. And every second you delay is another second you deny the world the gift of who you really are. So go. Go with fury in your purpose. Go with fire in your discipline. Go with faith tattooed in the bones of your doubt. Go until your name becomes a frequency. Go until your presence becomes a prophecy. Go until your breath becomes a battle cry. And when you arrive scarred, sovereign, and utterly unrecognizable, they will know, not because you told them, but because you showed them that your destiny was never found in comfort. It was forged in the fire you dared to walk through.